Bismillah. Hey, and welcome back to the iLife Academy Coaching Podcast. This is Abdul Shahid, and in this week's episode, I want to talk to you about the feeling of being overwhelmed. Now, this is directly aimed at, it's generally aimed at everyone. Like we all have this feeling at some point or another, but it's specifically aimed at you change workers, you help workers, you doctors, nurses, clinicians, coaches, anyone that's out there like helping other people. Forgive me if I've missed you out there, but this is generally for everyone. But so what I want to talk to you about today is really about what's going on with this whole feeling of being overwhelmed. You see, one of the greatest challenges most of us coaches and therapists and general people like you and I face is that, I see this amongst my own students, amongst my own coaches, amongst my colleagues and peers. I see that there's a lot of overwhelm, this feeling of being overwhelmed, and especially at this moment right now with the current situation in the world. Now, I find that people are constantly in overdrive, and they can find themselves being overwhelmed because of that. And that leads to being frustrated, feeling on edge, being stressed out, and even feeling burnt out. And this leads to this struggle with trying to balance our lives. So then we go out in the world and we're trying to find ways of creating balance. So the question is, what happens to us when we get into this overdrive mode? And I just want you to think about this word for a second. Overdrive. Who's driving you? You see, the question is really important because we feel like it's the circumstances that drive us. Or maybe it's the demands on me that drives me. It's my clients or my patients or my students that drive me as I have to deliver on my commitments. Or maybe it's even, my financial circumstances that drive me. And for some of us, it's the goals that we have, that big picture image of the six-figure big business or whatever it is that you've set yourself as a goal is what drives us, right? But one thing that's common for most of us is that it's a sense of duty, a sense of giving back that drives you, and that's totally understandable because you're in the field of helping people, and that's a heart-centered profession, alhamdulillah. So whatever it is that, overwhelms us, and those feelings of stress that accompany the overwhelm, it causes the imbalance in life. It's that which causes the imbalance. And most of the time, we don't think we can actually do anything about it. We feel stuck, like a catch-22. It's like, how am I going to fulfill my responsibilities and at the same time not feel overwhelmed? Because my to-do list is like never ending. My list of people I need to see and the list of people I need to help, like it's never ending. And whatever it is, there's always something that we can create up in our minds for why we're feeling what we're feeling. The other challenge that comes as a result of being overwhelmed is that you can start to lose your compassion for the very people that you're serving. And this happens when you're constantly stressed out and on edge. If you're on edge, you're going to feel, less and less compassion. I find that I have the most wonderful experience in helping my clients and my students when I'm most centered, when I'm balanced, when I'm grounded. But I've had to learn that the hard way, right? Because this whole balance thing, we try the time management, we try different life hacks. We try the very techniques that we've learned along the way, in psychology even, to try and create a sense of balance. Like, how many of you actually spend time journaling or writing down what you're feeling, just so that you can analyze what's going on? Like, how much time do you spend in positive thinking? Or even, some of us do affirmations. I mean, I don't do that myself, but I know that, there are people, my peers, who do that, right? And people do this to keep themselves balanced and try and keep themselves grounded. And also, as a parent, this whole overwhelm can totally take a toll on your role in your home as well. It affects your relationships at times, because after a long, stressful day of being compassionate and empathetic and serving and helping others, after those deep conversations that you're having, the critical analysis of your client's situation, you find yourself being very short in mental energy. Have you ever felt that? Maybe even a little short in empathy. And definitely, you just want some downtime without the need to speak. And I say that I'm speaking from experience. So, it's the feeling when you get back from work, or when you clock out, and all of a sudden your family knows that's when you stop working. Then all of a sudden, it's like, hey, mum, or hey, dad, you've been working all day. Like, give me some of your time now. Give me my time. You're giving your time to everyone else. What about my time? And they don't say it in those words. But the thing is, like, we know, we say this, we interpret it like this. How many times have you said to yourself, like, it's like they can never get enough of me. It's like I can never do enough. And have you ever felt like you're going from a job to another job? Your daytime job to your nighttime weekend job? Me too. I've felt that one. So let me get to the point. You see, the whole thing about overwhelm, it is created. And so the question is, where is all of this overwhelm, this stress, this overload, the burnout feeling, where is it all coming from? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran, Allah says, لا يكلف الله نفسا لا يكلف الله نفسا, that Allah will not charge you or burden you or give you إلا وسعها. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. You will not be burdened. Allah will not burden you except for what you have the capability to deal with. It's never going to be beyond your ability. Can you imagine that? I mean, we've heard this verse many a times, right? And that's interesting, right? Because here's me, little old me, feeling like pretty burdened. I feel like I'm way overloaded. I feel like that donkey carrying a load on my back, and my legs are just wobbling, about to give way. You know that feeling? Obviously, it's the world on your back that you're feeling, right? It's that overwhelm, all those responsibilities. And maybe the donkey analogy is not quite befitting of you, especially since you're in a heart-centered profession. But hey, ask yourself this question. If the creator of the heavens and the earth, Azza wa Jal, is saying that He would never give you more than you can handle, He would never burden you with that. So the question is, who's burdening you then? Have you ever thought about that? Who's the one that's giving you all of this burden, this heavy load? Where's it coming from? Because the one who gives us everything that we need is telling us that he's never going to give you more than you can handle. See, it's crazy, isn't it? But it seems like I'm actually burdening myself. I mean, could that even be possible? What do you think? Is it possible? Is that feeling of burden, is it something that we're doing to ourselves? You know, that feeling of, I must do this. Have you ever said that to yourself? I must do this, or I should do this, or I should do that. Have you ever done that and kept on saying that to yourself until you worked yourself up in a flurry of overcommitment? Imagine that. Imagine that overcommitment has become the issue for many of us. Whereas on the other hand, you've got a bunch of undercommitted people as well. Look at the nature of people. We overcommit or we undercommit. For sure, it's better to overcommit than it is to undercommit. However, in the long run, the level of commitment is detrimental to your own well-being if you are overcommitting or if you are undercommitting. So the level of commitment that we actually give things is what creates a lot of the problems that we're having. So balance is the key. And that's what I want to talk to you about. How do we create this balance? So here goes. Here's my recommendations. And obviously you don't have to take this. But of course, inshallah, if it, reflect on it, and if you use it, then maybe it will actually help you. And so here's where your imbalance is coming from. To create a balance, you need to understand where is the imbalance coming from. So I'm going to give you three different places that it could possibly be coming from. And what I suggest is have a think about this and just reflect. Which one of these is affecting me? Number one, either you're just about, you're the sort of person that's just about talking about what you're actually going to be doing, but you're not actually doing anything. That's at the undercommitted level. You could be the person that is totally committed to having great ideas and coming up with all these great plans for what you're going to do. And you talk about it and you talk about it and you talk about it. And you start to overanalyze everything. You start to look at all the risks and you start weighing up the pros and the cons, and the cons seem to scare you maybe. That's one group of people. The second type of person, or the second place that imbalance comes from, is that you're taking action, but taking way too much action, and in so many different things. So you're spreading yourself so thin that you cannot possibly do well or excel at any one of those things, because you've put your energy on so many different things. Like that alone is enough to cause you some sort of internal hemorrhage. So if that's what you're doing and you're taking on way too many things and you're trying to focus on all of them, you're doing a juggling act, then you're going to really feel that imbalance, and you're really going to struggle with the results that you get. Because if you don't get the results that you want in some of those things, you're going to start to beat yourself up and tell yourself that you're a bit of a loser, and why can everyone else do it and you can't do it? That might actually happen, right? Now the third thing That's not a dog, by the way. That's my son playing his dog game. So anyway, the third thing is that, or the third place of imbalance, where it comes from, is that you take all of your life's energy, focus and strength and all your willpower and everything that you have, and you put it into one thing. You do it so well, you spend so much time on this, you actually lose sight of your health, your family, your wealth, your kids, your friends, and anything else that I haven't mentioned. However, you absolutely so excel in this one thing that you get a lot of recognition for it, or maybe lots of appreciation, lots of results, and you really, you well exceed your goals and you come out on top. However, you have a big but. That's right. You heard me right. You have this great, you do this great work, but you absolutely suck in the other areas of your life. So all of those other things that you're not putting your attention into, that you're not doing much of, or you're putting little attention into, or none at all, in those areas, you suck the life and energy out of all of those things, and you plow it all into that one thing that you're focused on. I mean, does that sound familiar to you? Because if it does, then you have some great opportunities ahead of you, inshallah. Now, I don't want to paint it with a negative. Like I'm saying that, if you feel like one of these three areas is where your imbalance is coming from, then I would say that you got some great opportunity here right ahead of you. Yep, you can absolutely balance all of this out, and you can utilize your great ideas, those things that you're overanalyzing, thinking about, and you can actually get things done. But very importantly, you can do it whilst improving your own life and your own family circumstances. And here's how you would do that. Number one, first, you have to recognize that the creator of mercy, the creator of compassion, would never burden you with more than you can handle. So if Allah isn't doing that to you, if he's not burdening you, then it must be either you're doing it to yourself or you're allowing others to do it to you. And here's the solution. It's absolutely a choice. You choose what you will do yourself or what you will allow others to do. So you can choose your health and well-being first. And that's okay. In fact, I would suggest that's the most important thing. If you can't be there for yourself, you'll find it very difficult to truly be there for others. You see, there is no such thing as being selfless, not caring about yourself and putting the world before yourself. Because if you do that, you'll eventually, this whole process of being selfless will give you those feelings of burnout. It will lead you to actually resenting the people that you're helping. I mean, ask yourself, have you ever started to resent the people that you're actually helping, the ones that you're serving? Maybe they complain a little or they moan, and due to that, you feel like your compassion for them is decreasing. Well, the fact is, that's not a sign of compassion. The sign of compassion is to be compassionate to yourself first, so that you can be the best you can be. You see, the wholehearted, the whole heart-centered profession is based on the fact that you're doing okay yourself. And as a result, you can share that okayness with others. If you're doing really badly and you're always on edge, then that will come through in your work. It'll come through in your family life and maybe even translate into your financial situation. And that would really be a bad place to be. Because when you're in a really bad financial place, you're not going to be able to be totally there and giving for others. Because there's always going to be, in the background of your mind, there's always going to be some need that you haven't tended to. So you need to be in a good place. And that starts off with you psychologically, mentally being in a good state of affairs. And so that means you need to take care of yourself. And if you're feeling burdened, then you have to recognize, you have to really analyze, where is that burden coming from? Because I can tell you categorically that Allah wouldn't burden you more than you can bear. Okay, so number 2, you need to absolutely take downtime. That means downtime from work. That means learning to say no. You see, in life, people's crisis will become your crisis if you allow yourself to fall into the hype, the emotions, the roller coaster of feelings and expressions that you will see from your clients, from your patients, from your students. And I'm not saying, that you should not be merciful and compassionate. Absolutely, that's what you're doing here. That's why you're doing this job. But you can't help them unless you are balanced and on firm ground. That requires for you to take time out and just relax. Just say no. Because the creator of mercy, the most compassionate, the most merciful, would never expect you to sacrifice your life for others. In Islam, we are asked to sacrifice ourselves and our desires for the Creator. And the thing about that is that it's a win-win. That type of sacrifice demands that you look after yourself first. You see, you hear the words, your body is an amana, like your physical body is a trust that God has entrusted you with. That means you need to take care of it. So when you put yourself, when you sacrifice yourself for God, it means that you have to look after yourself. So when you think of it like that, it's actually a completely different way of thinking. Because if you can take care of yourself, you can absolutely take care of others. But if you can't take care of yourself, then you're going to find it difficult to take care of others. Because you're not going to have what you need to give to others. You can't give to others what you don't have. Now, number 3 is make decisions with a clear mind and not from a place of emotions. That sounds strange, but it is common sense. But it's definitely not common practice. You can just step back when you feel a sense of emotions driving you, especially if those emotions are fears, frustration, anxiety, overwhelm, or any other feeling that you have that you don't enjoy. Making a decision from a clear mind will help you to realign with what you're doing to help others in your service. And you're serving God. If you do your service for the sake of Allah, you'll always find that you can make a decision based on what's good for you and good for others. You don't need to sacrifice yourself for others or sacrifice others for your own needs. It's neither for you nor them. It's for Allah. And a lot of people right now in this current crisis make decisions based on fear. And that's really not a good place to make decisions from. Fear has a way of clouding the mind and putting you into this flight or fight mode of thinking. This is the survival mode. But actually, you are surviving just fine. And it's that fear state that causing that the emotional turbulence in your mind and your body that's causing you to feel that, you are in survival mode. And you probably just need a bit of me time and family time without being on edge. So that's really what's going to be, these three things. If you are able to do this, it will really help you to redress the balance. So the last thing I'll leave you with is that whatever you're experiencing in this current crisis can be normalized if you normalize your thinking. And I know this sounds a bit counterintuitive, but if you are constantly soaking up news and social media and you're in the frenzy, then this situation will have an effect on you. And it may be that you are experiencing this with your clients or your students, your patients, and really you're taking on their anxieties and their fears because you're seeing this all day long. And it's affecting your own emotional stability. You may even begin to think that the whole world is experiencing exactly what your clients or patients or students are experiencing. Like, that's what we do. We start to generalize. Whatever we're experiencing through the day, then we start to think that everyone is experiencing that. And let me tell you, this isn't the case. Yes, the people you are helping are experiencing whatever they're sharing with you. But the rest of the world is fine. Everyone is in good stead. Albeit they might be, binging on the news and the social media hype. And if that happens, then obviously they're going to be worked up. But if you look at their situation, they're actually fine. So by dropping out of the whole, the whole world is in crisis thinking, you'll feel a lot better. And don't forget, it's the creator of the heavens and the earth that is taking care of his world and everyone in it when you're tired and fast asleep. So although that we might think at times that the world needs us, the world actually just needs us to be good and in good stead and not overwhelmed, not stressed, not on edge, because that's when we're able to serve the most. So anyway, I hope that this will help you to, in some way, to redress the balance in your mind, even if it's not immediately in your physical world. And if you need help, I'm always here. Send me a message, leave a comment, get in touch. If you're enjoying these podcasts, then I urge you, go to QuranicConnection.tv and sign up to the mailing list. And I will leave you with that, and I'll see you in the next episode. Jazakumullah khair.